Hey, so I just saw the first 2 episodes of the new Star Wars Obi-Wan show. I wanted to make a short video on it and to have a little bit of a discussion. So the first half of this will be me discussing if I liked it or disliked it. I'll try to keep all the spoilers up to the spoiler section. Halfway through the video, I'll let you guys know once I start spoiling it, so that if you wanted to see it, you don't get spoiled. So this is the first 2 episodes of a 6-parter. I believe there are 6 episodes in Obi-Wan. I kind of wish there was a little bit more, or that the episodes were a little bit longer. I believe the episodes are 56 minutes and 42 minutes respectively, which isn't too bad. Sorry, my cat ran by. That's not entirely too bad. They are pretty lengthy. I kind of wish they were like maybe an hour, especially the pilot maybe being an hour and a half. The 2 episodes definitely could have condensed into one, because watching them back to back, it feels like its own episode. The whole thing being the pilot. And I am excited to see how it goes out. I wasn't too excited at the beginning when I heard a bunch of stuff that was going on, but seeing how they wrote it, I kind of see how they're going through it. Kind of want to see how it goes through. I kind of have my own predictions, which I'll get to in spoilers. And if you have predictions on how stuff is going to go, please leave them in the comment section. Just, try to be a little bit civilized with it. If you don't have a Disney Plus subscription, I would say wait if this was the only thing you wanted. If you did get the subscription to watch it, there's really nothing wrong with that, because Star Wars has other great stuff, including the movies, the cartoon Clone Wars, The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett is even good. Can I help you? I'm doing something. No, don't hit this camera. I don't know where your treats are. Yeah, I got your treats. Just stop hitting the camera. Go over here. It's right there. Alright, sorry about that. Where was I? Watching them back to back, it's really good. I just feel like they probably could have condensed it into one episode and just made it like an hour and a half long. And that way we would have gotten like another episode. But I guess it's not that terrible that they did it like that. But this is also a me preference. I kind of wish that they just released all the episodes at once, so I don't have to wait a week for it. I kind of like the binge watching of it. I don't like the sitting down and waiting a week for it. Most of the time, like with the Marvel shows, I have waited until all of the episodes came out, and then I just binge watch all of it. That's doing great since I'm still stuck on Loki and I haven't finished that yet. But, so I like the episodes. The acting in this is all pretty good. The only one I would say I would have a problem with a bit is the third sister, which is the Inquisitor that has been prominent in all the trailers. But it's not like a problem like it ruins the show for me. It's just that comparatively with Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan, even Bail Organa's character is really good. And the Grand Inquisitor, because I loved the way the Grand Inquisitor was boasting and talking and stuff. It just seems like that acting is a little bit subpar comparatively. It's still good. I'm not saying that she's doing a terrible job at it. She's actually doing a fantastic job at it, and I'm actually really excited to see how this character is going to go out. I'll leave that to spoilers with my predictions. So for the first episode, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It's really good at building itself up and making you guess what's going to happen with the story, and really make you want to sit and watch all of them. Again, wish all 6 episodes came out so I could just binge watch all of it. Episode 2, on the other hand, I'm going to give it a 8 out of 10. It's still good, it's just not as good or engaging as the first one. But that's it. I'm going to cut into spoiler section. So let me know what you guys think on the comment section. Let me know if you liked Obi-Wan, if you didn't like Obi-Wan. If you didn't like Obi-Wan, you can go ahead and say why. I just ask that you guys keep it civil in the comments. I know with Star Wars discussions, it can get heated a lot and really quickly. Just remember that the fans commenting are fans, and we all like the same thing, even if we all have different opinions on it. Alright, so now down the spoiler section. The show starts with a recap of the previous 3 movies, which is pretty good if you need a recap. So the whole show actually starts with Order 66, Operation Nightfall, which is when the clone troopers went to the Jedi Temple and shot them all up. And it shows a Jedi Master, and I think it was 5 or 6 younglings all training, and then the clones just start coming in and start blasting. It's kind of comical that they're doing like their little teaching and stuff while that's happening, because I'm pretty sure there's lightsabers, blaster bolts, like explosions. There's definite sound going. But I think those younglings have something to do with part 2. And I think one of them is also the Inquisitor girl that is obviously a prominent character in the show. But I will leave that to predictions. So it shows what Obi-Wan's been doing for the last 10 years. He's been laying low on Tatooine, looking over Luke. He's been working at a meat processing plant where all he seems to do for like 8 hours a day is chopping up slabs of meat from a giant carcass, where when I looked it up, it looks like it's a crate dragon carcass, which instantly makes me want to know what it tastes like. And also makes me question, because crate dragons have acid or poison. I think it's acid. And their meats is also with acid and poison. So I'm already like, how the fuck is that happening? But you see in the background, there's like a guy with a big bowl, and he's stirring it, and it looks like he's distilling or de-aciding or de-venomizing whatever the meat is before they chop it up, which makes sense. I still want to try it though. And every day he takes a little bit of meat off it and steals it. I think he does that to eat, but he also has a pet. He also has a mount, like a pack mule, and it looks like he feeds it to that. So that's carnivorous, which is kind of terrifying. And we also find out that Obi-Wan is also living in like a cave. So in 10 years, he hasn't gotten his own little place, which is kind of weird. I kind of want to know how he gets the place. I guess we'll find that out in like the final episode. And so yeah, there's some interactions. Like there's this little Jawa that shows up and sells him some stuff, including the little ship model that Luke was playing with in episode 4, if you remember that, which I think was really cute. It was a nice like, oh, that's how Luke got the model. I would assume, if you didn't tell me that Luke would have just bought it with his own money, or Beru or Owen got it for him. Maybe more Beru than Owen, because Owen is really all doesn't want Luke to go out into the galaxy and end up like his father. But it's not all about Obi-Wan and Luke's relationship. It's also about Obi-Wan and Leia's. As it cuts to Alderaan, and we see Leia getting ready for this big royal ball or a party or something, and the Queen shows up. The Queen is Leia's mother, which is why Leia's a princess. She comes up and finds out that the girl that they're dressing up isn't Leia. She is some other alien servant girl, which really is a missed opportunity to introduce Winter into the canon. Winter was Leia's handmaiden, who looks exactly like her. Was able to, because they're decoy. They actually had her look like her. I think the only difference is, like, after a while her hair goes white, so she's just like Leia with white hair. But they could have introduced her into the canon, but it's not that big of a deal, I guess, in the long scheme of things. And Leia runs around in the woods looking at ships that go off, and it's nice. They're giving Leia a lot of personality. I really like the girl that's playing as her. She seems to get into the role of Leia really well, with the snarkiness and the snapping back at people, like when she's talking to her mother. There was this one joke where the mother is like telling her to do all this stuff, and Leia's just like, it's just like living in a prison. And Leia ends up in a prison in episode 4, which I thought was a maybe not intentional, but a pretty funny joke. And it shows, like, she cares. She goes to the droids. She talks to the droids, and her like cousins are like, "Oh, you don't need to have manners with lower life forms." And Leia like completely like obliterates him, and then she gets in trouble for it. And has to apologize. So she runs off into the woods again and gets kidnapped by some pirates. So back on Tatooine, I actually forgot to mention this because this happens before then. Some Inquisitors show up and they start walking around town with the Grand Inquisitor, the third sister, and I don't know who the other guy is because they haven't really named him. I think he's the fifth brother. I think he's the dude in Rebels. I haven't actually looked it up, but the third sister is shown to be rather brash and aggressive as they're like questioning a bartender on where this Jedi that has been seen is, and so she gets like pissed and just throws a knife at the guy, and the Jedi stops the knife, which really is the Jedi's fault because the Jedi could have just, you know, went like this and like had the Force kind of knock the knife out of the way or something. But no, he had to hold his hand out and keep holding it, even though nobody else is paying attention to the knife, like is holding onto the knife. He could have just dropped it. He could have done anything. And so, and she tries to kill him like instantly, and the Grand Inquisitor's like, "Oh, you're too aggressive." And she's like, "Well, we keep going after vermin. We have to go look for bigger prey." And yeah, and she's talking about Obi-Wan. They've been searching for Obi-Wan for 10 years. They're on Tatooine, and I found it kind of funny when he's like, you know, Obi-Wan, we've been searching for him for 10 years. He's gone. There's no way we're going to find him. And I think he was in town at the time. And so Obi-Wan buys Luke the little model ship, and he goes off, and there's the Jedi that was running from them sees him, and he goes, "Oh, well, we need to fight the good fight. We have to come back." And Obi-Wan's like, "The fight's over. Just run, live a normal life." And he's like, you know, being nice about it and being obvious about it because the Jedi are utterly fucked with the Inquisitors hunting them, and the guy isn't making things easier. So eventually the guy gets caught and he's killed instantly. I mean, that's obvious. Over to Lars' residence, Obi-Wan leaves the ship model for Luke up on, like, by the door. Then he leaves, and Owen shows up the next day and like throws it back at him, and he's like, "Stay away from the farm," which is how Lars in the old canon did it, and I'm glad that they kept that. They didn't just make Owen like a completely different character, because one of his biggest traits was that he does not like Jedi. He didn't like Obi-Wan. He doesn't want Luke to go off and die and for some foolhardy things. He just wants to keep Luke safe. And he's talking to him, and he's like, you know, "Stay away from Luke, stay away from my family. He doesn't need it." And the Inquisitors show up again, asking for the Jedi. You know, not Obi-Wan, but the Jedi that they were hunting for. And she finds Owen, and she tries to threaten him. And I think they reveal her name to be Reva there, because the one brother, I don't know his name, the green guy, like yells at her and tells her to back off, and he's like, and you know, because they're like, "Oh, you're too ambitious, blah blah blah," and I'm like, why haven't you guys killed her yet? I mean, I know why they haven't killed her, because then she'd be written out of the story, but like, she is shown to be at least court-martialed, at least thrown out of the case, put on a ship going back to Coruscant. Not, "Hey, stop it, I'm gonna waggle my fingers," because like, they're Inquisitors. They would probably kill her for this, because this is the second time in a row she's done this. So she hires the pirates that kidnap Leia to bring her to a planet. I think the planet's name was like Dia or something, and to draw Obi-Wan out, because she knows that Bail Organa and Obi-Wan fought alongside each other in the war, which is something I didn't really 100% understand, because Bail Organa is a senator, and as a Jedi, they did work with the Senate, because they were directly under their rule. But I don't know why they keep singling Bail Organa out, because Obi-Wan tried to avoid the senators at all possible. I don't think he actively hung out with any of them, except maybe Padme. And I guess maybe that's where they make the connection. They're like, "Oh, well, Bail Organa was friends with Amidala, so he would have to be friends with Obi-Wan." It's a minor problem. I don't think it's is really too bad. But they kidnap Leia, and so they call Obi-Wan. They're like, oh, Bail and his wife call him. And they're like, oh, well, you need to help us because Leia's getting captured. And we're risking everything by calling you. You're the only one that knows how important she is. And yeah, once I hear an Imperial Senator gets kidnapped, I would assume that the Emperor would at least send someone to go take care of it. Which happens in the second one, I guess. In the second episode, kind of. We'll get to that. And so Bail Organa shows up on Tatooine after Obi-Wan's like, oh, I can't. I'm not the same guy I was 10 years ago. And convinces him to go save Leia. I think this is a cover-up and, like, trying to write in why Leia would name Kylo Ren Ben after Obi-Wan, since she's only met him... Since besides this show... The only time she ever met him was when he was dying on the Death Star. I mean, okay. I think it's a poor excuse. I do think between Luke and Leia, Luke would name his child Ben after Obi-Wan. But, I mean, she could have named him Obi-Wan. I don't think she would have named him Ben. Anyway, so he goes off. He grabs his lightsaber and then runs back off to save Leia and leaving Luke behind. So I think that might be the last time we see Luke, except maybe towards the end of the show, which is fine. So they did write a good reason why Obi-Wan would leave the planet, because one of my biggest concerns with the show was how were they going to do that, because Obi-Wan hermits and isolates himself on Tatooine for about 20 years watching over Luke, and besides like very few interactions with the local populace, he doesn't do anything for 19 to 20 years. And they made that a good reason. They had Leia get captured, and since Leia is Luke's sister and Anakin's child, Obi-Wan is willing to go out and save them. I thought originally it was just going to be like some Jedi that find him and they're like, oh, well, we need your help, and then he goes off on adventures with the Jedi, and I'm like, that does not sound like him. He does not want to draw attention to, Luke on the planet. So the second episode happens. Obi-Wan shows up and on the planet Dia or whatever. And this episode is mostly him running around the city looking for Leia. So he goes looking for stuff, and there's this one kid that shows up, and he's like, oh, you're looking for information? We have a Jedi that'll help you. And the Jedi, I don't remember his name. I'm pretty sure he's like a comedian. Sorry that I don't know your name. But he's a con artist. He's shown to be tricking a mother and child into giving him credits for passageways. They were a little unclear whether or not he was also tricking them, because I think the kid was supposed to be force sensitive, and it's kind of unclear on whether or not he was sending him to a Imperial camp where they're going to pick him up, or he was actively helping him, because he did say, oh, well, I'm just leading them to the safer path, just a little bit poorer. And his actions later on in the episode kind of like makes me question whether or not he was actually helping them, but was just still playing a con game. Which is fine. Obi-Wan instantly knows the guy's faking, though. He's using magnets and like pretending to be a Jedi, which is kind of hilarious. I love it when that happens. He's like, the interactions with Obi-Wan with other people is fantastic, and exactly how I think Obi-Wan would interact with people, especially with the Jawa at the first episode. And so he leads, he gets the con artist to give him information, which leads Obi-Wan to a spice den. For those that don't know, spice is basically, it's a hard drugs that do mind altering like thoughts and stuff. So where he gets into a fist fight, and it kind of clearly shows that Obi-Wan is out of shape. Not out of shape like physically, but out of shape like combat wise, since he has not really fought in those 10 years. But he gets to find out where Leia really is. or he finds out where Leia is, and it's a trap. They were waiting for him this entire time to hold him out for the Inquisitor, the third sister, Reva, because she actually hired them, because she hired them to kidnap Leia. But Obi-Wan gets away. He had like a jar of spice he threw on the ground and put on a breath mask, and everyone that was in the room heffed it and started like hallucinating and stuff. And he's able to actually find Leia, and it was kind of cute because like Leia was already trying to escape, and so like she waited for him to show up and then like hit him and try to run out. So the rest of the episode is really Obi-Wan and Leia running from them. Reva is going to the spice den and finds them all laying there, and she's like, "Oh, where did he go?" And this is my kind of problem with her. It's not a extreme problem. It's not a problem that's going to kill the show for me. It's not a problem that kills the character for me. It's just this character is written in a way that I do not see her as a Inquisitor, because she does seem a little reckless. She does seem a little bit too aggressive, and I'm just like, why would they bring her to do these stuff if she's that she needs to be a little bit more disciplined and like more and like I get it, because she is a big tough dark Jedi, and they're dark Jedi, they're not Sith. I'm not arguing about this anyway, but like she's still acting tough, whereas an actual Inquisitor or Darth Vader or any kind of Force user like that would show their powers don't need to do that big stance and stuff. They just have to stand there and be like, move, and then they move anyway because they automatically detect what the fuck is wrong, like what the fuck, how powerful they are. But again, it's not that big of a deal. She also doesn't have Sith eyes, which clearly shows that she's not really a dark side user. So that's probably going to come up later in the show. And it's it's clear on why she's doing this, because they do bring it up. She wants to gain favor. She wants to capture the one person that Darth Vader has been searching for 10 years to give herself a higher rank and power. I mean, that makes sense. A lot of Inquisitors want that because Obi-Wan is such a high priority target. It kind of seems a little bit more like she was the first person to come up with the Darth Vader fan club that Kylo Ren eventually joins. I think it might have something. I think that might come up later down the line. Like, she really wants to be on the right side of Vader. She really likes him or something, or she really respects him and wants to be like his apprentice. But again, something that happens later in the episode will make me think otherwise. And so the Grand Inquisitor and like two other Inquisitors show up. I think he was the fifth brother, and I think she was a Nautolan. I don't know who the other one was. It was like a new Inquisitor that they just brought up. But they show up, and the Grand Inquisitor's like, dude, you kidnapped an Imperial Senator's kid? What the fuck's wrong with you? And I kind of like that, how the Inquisitors aren't automatically like, yeah, let's do that. They're like, dude, you just did a really, really bad thing. Like, are you out of your mind? And she's like, oh, well, we've done worse. And I'm like, you kidnapped an Imperial Senator's son without the okay from the Emperor. And obviously the Emperor knows about it now because the Inquisitors know about it. And I don't think the Emperor wouldn't know about something like this. They go off, and he's like, oh, well, you're done. Now we're going to deal with you once we get Kenobi. And so she John Wick 2's it and has a huge bounty for Obi-Wan. And everyone in the city knows now. Like, everyone's looking out for Obi-Wan. So now they have to run and have firefights. And then Leia does something that's extremely questionable. She finds out that Obi-Wan has a bounty, and she's like, oh, the whole reason why they kidnapped me was to get to you. You're not a Jedi. You've been lying this entire time. And then she runs away, and I'm just like, this is both on Obi-Wan and Leia, because Leia doesn't listen to him and like immediately starts running, and Obi-Wan doesn't immediately go, yes, they want me and they used me to get to you, like they used you to get to me and I'm trying to save you, or yes, because I'm a Jedi, they are hunting me because Jedis are being hunted. But a big chase sequence happens and Leia runs into the roof and Obi-Wan chases after her and gets into several firefights with a Tissassar, which I'm really glad that they're canon now. I'm pretty sure that was a Tissassar. They are sentient velociraptors that speak English, or basic in Star Wars. And the whole time, the Sith Inquisitor girl is doing flips and parkour and stuff, which I can only describe as pointless. And I don't know why they keep going back to her doing stuff like that, because she's doing useless flips. Like there's this one flip where she jumps on the wall to ricochet off, when really she could have just jumped over the little ledge that was right there. And it ultimately leads to nothing because she doesn't get to Obi-Wan or the Leia in time. She just shows up later in the episode. So the chase sequence leads to the con artist who wants to help them, and he tries to distract the Inquisitor by being like, I'm the Jedi, and she instantly goes, no, you're not, and tosses him aside, mind reads him, and finds out that Obi-Wan is going to a cargo ship where she's sitting, where she finds them, and Obi-Wan's like trying to distract her, and she's like, Lord Darth Vader is, I'm not going to kill you. Darth Vader is going to want to look at you, and Obi-Wan like instantly goes, oh God, Darth Vader's alive, and she's like, oh, you didn't know? Yes, Anakin Skywalker is alive. How does she know he's Anakin Skywalker? That's my biggest problem so far. There's no way she would know that he's Anakin Skywalker, because Vader kills everyone that knows he's Anakin Skywalker. There's only 4 people in canon right now. 5, maybe 6. The Emperor, Obi-Wan, Darth Vader. Those are the only people that Darth Vader knows that he's... Well, technically the 4th guy knows too, I guess. Knows that he's Anakin Skywalker. Thrawn knows that he's Anakin Skywalker. Although Thrawn mentions it. He's like, yeah, you're Anakin. What, you didn't think I know that? And Vader's like, it'd be very healthy for you to forget that. Tarkin in the old canon knew. I don't know if the new canon he knows. But he was able to figure out that Anakin is Vader by the way he like walks and his tactics and stuff. But then he also realizes that nobody talks about it, so it's probably a good idea not to talk about it. Bail Organa, I think, knows that Darth Vader is Anakin. And that's really it. Apparently the Inquisitors also know he's Anakin Skywalker, which is surprising because in the comics and books, it's shown that he kills people as soon as they say he's Anakin Skywalker, so that he can keep that a secret. That wasn't public knowledge. Official reports say that Anakin Skywalker died during Order 66. So, is there like a comic or a book I'm missing where the Inquisitors all know that he's Anakin Skywalker? That just kind of seems like a really big problem in the biggest scheme of things. But he gets away from her and flies off, and then he like looks in the sky in space and goes, Anakin, and then it cuts to Darth Vader in the tube, the bacta tube, where he opens his eyes up, and I'm like, oh, Vader now knows that Obi-Wan's still around, so he's going to hunt him at all. Predictions: Reva's gonna die, obviously. I don't think she's going to die from Obi-Wan. I don't think she's going to die from another Jedi. She's going to die from Vader, because he's going to find out that she knows he's Anakin. And she's going to be like, oh, I did this for you, Anakin. I did this for you. Blah, blah, blah. I want to be your apprentice. And he's like, did you just call me Anakin? And then either slice or choke. I think he's just going to force choke and just crush her throat. Other predictions. The con artist gave Obi-Wan the cargo ship number and said, go to this planet, I forget what the planet's name is, and there will be people that want to help you. I think they're the other Jedis, the other younglings that were shown at the beginning. They're going to be like, 20 or so year olds and they're all running their little smuggling business to help Jedi and stuff. There's going to be like an Underground Railroad kind of situation, I think, which eventually will lead to Vader. Vader's going to find them, and he might fight Obi-Wan. They did hint that there's going to be a rematch, which I'm not looking forward to, because in my mind, the last time Obi-Wan and Anakin fought was on... Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fought was on Mustafar, and then the Death Star, and then Obi-Wan died. Like, it's like 20 years apart from each other. But I could kind of see how they could do it. They would have Obi-Wan fight him. He's going to fight Vader in like maybe the 5th or 6th episode and be clearly shown to be outmatched. And towards the end of that fight, Obi-Wan's going to try and flee, and the other Jedis are going to jump in, and we're going to have Vader fight like 5, 6 Jedi at once, which is going to be really cool, and all those Jedis are going to die. I seen in the pictures on the Obi-Wan like Disney Plus menu, he's on Tatooine. It's a desert planet looking at Vader. I do not like that, because if it's on that, Obi-Wan's done, because once Darth Vader knows exactly where Obi-Wan's hiding, he's not going to stop. He's going to level Tatooine to look for him. He's going to turn the desert planet into a glass planet and probably eventually find Luke. Yeah, the people writing this don't seem to understand that if Vader knows exactly where Obi-Wan is, that's it. He's done. The whole point of going to Tatooine was to hide from Vader. This isn't it's a sandy planet. Vader doesn't like sand. He won't go there. The reason why they went to Tatooine was because it would remind him too much of Anakin. But if he knows Obi-Wan's there, he's not going to stop. He's still going to go to Tatooine. But yeah, that's really it. It's going to turn out that Reva is going to be one of the Jedis, the younglings from the beginning of the show. Maybe she'll join them like the other Jedis at the end, in which case she's going to die. Or they're going to let her live. That doesn't seem like the route they're going to go. It feels like she's going to die to Vader. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Hayden Christensen is doing Vader. I'm hoping Vader's in the next episode, but that's just because I'm a huge Vader fanboy. I think they're probably just going to wait until like the last parts to show Vader, which is probably the correct way to do it. Then there was a bunch of other Star Wars stuff during the Star Wars Celebration, which I'm not going to talk about here because this is about Star Wars Obi-Wan. So, let me know what you guys think. Did you like the episodes? Did you not like them? Did you like them more than Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett? Like all that stuff? Let me know in the comments. Again, try to keep it civil. I don't want to have to start like stopping conversations because people are starting fights. Remember, this is just all peaceful conversations. This is no reason to start fights. So, also, if you guys like this video, please let me know. Let me know if there's like some way I should be able to change things. If you guys want me to do this every week for every episode, or you want me to wait and do it like every 2 episodes, or wait until the whole series is done and then I can do a whole series like retrospective of it. So yeah, I don't think there's anything else for me to discuss about this. It's a 9 out of 10 for the first episode, 8 out of 10 for the second episode. Those are my predictions of what's going to happen. I think the show is going to end up good. Unless something happens and the episodes completely decide to crash itself, which is possible. So again, if you're not too sure about the Disney Plus subscriptions, you could probably wait on it and see how the rest of the Obi-Wan series is going. If you do have a Disney Plus subscription, that's not a big loss. The Disney Plus has a bunch of other great shows out there right now. Again, the Netflix series. I've only seen Daredevil and Punisher. I haven't seen the other ones, but I've heard they're all good except for like 2 of them. They have the current Disney Plus shows, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Hawkeye, Loki, all that stuff. And then they have all the previous Marvel movies. It's just like they have a whole collection of stuff that's easily worth the $8 in my opinion. So, that'll be it for this episode. Again, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you on the next video.